Hello, my name is Qidwai. I am an instructor in the Sociology and Criminology department at CNM. I hope everybody is keeping safe and keeping clean during these times of social isolation as we deal with COVID-19. In sociology and criminology, we analyze society and the various aspects of society, be it family, religion, culture, socialization, inequality, race, gender, crime, you name it. We pretty much have a sub-discipline that deals with it. Now, right now is a great time to analyze society. Within sociology, one of our fundamental texts is an article written by C. Wright Mills called the sociological imagination. This is a term that you'll come across really in any sociology class. And while there's a lot to it, the key of it is the importance, the need to constantly analyze and question society from an objective manner, taking ourselves out of it and looking at the broader picture, which is incredibly easy to say, but hard to do. Now, there are certain situations that make it a little bit easier to analyze society, that give us a bit of an advantage. Two groups that have a somewhat easier time at the imagination, at analyzing society, are those living on the margins of society and those living through a time of social crisis. Those living on the margins, they see two sides of society. They see what we claim society should be, fair, just, equal, and then they see the reality. That's not always fair, it's not always just, it's not always equal. And those living through a time of social crisis as well have an opportunity to analyze society. Because when things are going normal for society, we're not really forced to question it. Why would we? We just go through our daily lives. But when a crisis hits, be it a political crisis, an economic crisis, a social crisis, an environmental crisis, we're forced to take a step back and question, this is not what I expected. What is going on here? Well, we're going through a crisis right now with COVID-19 and how we deal with it. And so many individuals, not surprisingly, are questioning how society operates. So we're realizing that the way we thought it works isn't really the way it works. Think of the issue of essential workers. In sociology, and in a sub-discipline of structural functionalism, sub-theory, there's this idea of the Davis-Moore thesis. The Davis-Moore thesis states, in part, that jobs are rewarded based on their importance, with more important jobs being more rewarded. That the more essential, the more important a job is to the function of society, the more we reward it with increased pay. After all, we need to reward important jobs with more pay because they're so essential to ensure that they are fulfilled. Now contrast that to how things are working today. As we deal with COVID-19, what jobs do we now realize to be essential? A lot of the minimum wage jobs, a lot of the service sector jobs that we disregarded a year ago as being low skilled and unimportant, we're now realizing that no, these jobs are essential. That maybe our grocery clerks, maybe our sanitation workers, maybe our nurses are more important than the CEO, more important to the function of society than a movie star, than an athlete. That these jobs are more essential than we once realized. A year ago, it was uncommon for people to think, well, it's a minimum wage job. Those jobs are for teenagers. Those jobs are more summer jobs. Those jobs are not meant to be full-time jobs, not meant to be jobs to support yourself. But that's not the case. In fact, when minimum wage was established under Franklin Roosevelt through the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, the notion of a minimum wage job is quite different than how we view it today. Minimum wage jobs, minimum wage, was seen to be a living wage. The notion was that an individual should be able to work a minimum wage, living wage job and be able to support themselves, their spouse, and their kids. That if you work a minimum wage job full-time, you should be able to support yourself. This current notion that minimum wage jobs are done by teenagers, that a lot of people have, isn't quite true. The average age of a minimum wage employee is about 25 to 35, depending on the study you look at. 80% of minimum wage workers are not teens. A quarter of them have kids. Over half of them are working it full-time. And we're starting to realize that many of these minimum wage jobs are essential. Again, we're starting to question how society operates. We're starting to analyze society. We're starting to look at individuals who are having trouble paying their rent as we see unemployment skyrocket, and question why are there more vacant homes in the United States than homeless individuals. As we see some of the largest cases of COVID-19 being in prisons, such as in Ohio, we're starting to question why is it that we have such mass incarceration? Despite violent crime being on the decline for about 30 years, why is incarceration rates going up? Why is it that the richest 1% in the United States have as much wealth as the bottom 8%? Why is it that access to healthcare isn't equal? Why is it that in places like Chicago, Louisiana, where blacks make up 1/3 of the population, why is it that they make up 70% of the deaths from coronavirus? After all, the virus doesn't discriminate, but unfortunately society does. These are issues that are not new issues. We've dealt with them before. We've been analyzing and studying them for decades. But during this time of social crisis, during these times as we analyze society and question society, dealing with COVID-19, it's a good time to go deeper. Look not just at our initial impressions from what we see on the news, but maybe take a class on it. And in sociology and criminology, we have an intro class that scratches the surface on many of these issues. And at the 200 level, we have classes that focus specifically on issues of race, specifically on issues of traffication, of inequality, of family, of crime, of policy. I highly recommend taking these classes. And one key aspect of really all my classes is having fun with it and not just learning about it, but applying it to our lives. And so I have an assignment that I borrowed from another instructor, borrowed from Professor Morgan in the history department, who I highly, highly recommend. I'd like to show some of the images that my students have come up with. There's more to it behind the scenes where they explain it, but I think it gives a good idea of some of the things that we look at in the classes, that we change our perspective of how we view the world, and hopefully we then go and share that with other people. We study issues of gender norms and question them. We look at issues of inequality and how that takes place. And perhaps most importantly, we don't simply study these issues for the sake of studying them. Ideally, we want to be public sociologists. We want to go forth and have an active say, change society for the better. Regardless of what perspective you take, we don't need to just sit back, study, and then complain about how society operates. We should research, learn more about society, learn what makes society operate in the most functional way to make things most equal, and then go forth and have a say, have our voices heard. Well, thank you for watching this video. Fairly short, but I hope to see you again in an in-person class eventually. And if not, in the meantime, there's plenty of online classes in sociology and criminology and other disciplines throughout CNM. Stay safe, stay clean, and stay isolated.